When people visit Prague Castle, they usually look up the towers and say, wow, it's beautiful. But they rarely stop to think that this place is older than many countries. It's not just a monument, it's a timeline carved into stone. Prague Castle has stood more than 11 centuries, ruled by kings, emperors, dictators and presidents. It has survived fires, wars and occupations. And every time someone tried to destroy it, it came back stronger. This is not just a story about a castle. This is a reminder of how Czech people have endured and rebuilt throughout every era. Our story begins in the 9th century, around the year 880. A Bohemian prince named Boživoj from the dynasty of Přemyslovci built a simple defensive fort here. Nothing grand or loyal yet, just a defensive stronghold on the hill overlooking the Vltava River. But from that moment, that hill became the seat of power in Bohemia. Over the next centuries, rulers kept rebuilding and expanding it. Each age left its fingerprint. Romanesque church, Gothic cathedrals, Renaissance palaces and Baroque courtyard. And that's what makes Prague Castle unique. It's not frozen in one style. It's a living record of Central Europe's history and architecture. By the 10th century, the Basilica of St. George was rising here, one of the oldest surviving buildings in the city. It still stands, quiet, massive, Romanesque, a reminder of where royal power began. In 1344, King Charles IV decided that Prague deserved something magnificent, a cathedral that would rival Paris and Cologne. He hired the best architects from France and Germany and laid the foundation stone of St. Vitus's Cathedral, but never lived to see it finished. The project went on for centuries. Wars halted construction, fires destroyed progress, money ran out. But each time, another generation picked up where the last left off. It wasn't finally completed until 1929. So when you stand beneath these towers, you are standing beneath 600 years of history. Every column, every stained glass window belongs to a different era. There is even an Art Nouveau window by the Czech artist Alfons Mucha, proof that the Gothic dream lived on into the modern age. Prague Castle hasn't had an easy life. In 1541, a massive fire swept through the hill, destroying homes, libraries, and priceless archive. It took decades to rebuild. And then in 1618 came the event that changed all of the Europe, the defenestration of Prague. Right here, a group of angry Protestant nobles threw two Catholic officials out of the window. They fell from 20 meters and somehow survived. And this one act of defiance in the castle led to 30 years of war in the Central Europe. It's wild to think about. One act of defiance inside this castle set off decades of war across the continent. A few decades later, the castle became home to one of the strangest rulers in European history, Emperor Rudolf II. He was fascinated by magic, science and everything mysterious. By the end of 16th century, he filled the castle with alchemists, inventors and astronomers that tried to turn lead into gold. Golden Lane, this charming little street, was said to be where Rudolf's alchemists worked. The legend isn't quite true. It mostly housed guards and artisans, but it still captures the spirit of the time, a city caught between superstition and science. One of these houses, number 22, later belonged to writer Franz Kafka. His works, exploring the themes of power and paranoia, resonate deeply with the atmosphere that surrounds this place. For hundreds of years, the castle was the home of kings and Holy Roman emperors, but in the 20th century, its meaning changed again. In 1918, when Czechoslovakia was founded after the World War I, this hill became the seat of power again. Tomáš Garrigue Masaryk, the first president, moved his court here, symbolizing that the Czechs have reclaimed their history. 2 decades later, Hitler marched into Prague and raised his flag above these towers. It was occupied by Nazis for 6 years. And then, communist era. Different flag, the same hill of power. And then, in 1989, after the Velvet Revolution, Václav Havel took office in the very same rooms once used by emperors and dictators. His typewriter sat on the presidential desk, a quiet symbol that ideas, not armies, will rule this place now. Of course, no castle this old is without its secrets. Beneath your feet lies a network of tunnels and cellars used over the centuries for storage, defense and sometimes for prisoners. And somewhere deep inside the St. Vitus's Cathedral, are the Czech crown jewels, locked behind a heavy door that needs 7 separate keys to open. Those keys are held by 7 people: President, the Prime Minister, the Archbishop and 4 others. They only come together on rare occasions like national anniversaries. According to legend, anyone who wears the crown without the right to rule will die within a year. So far, no one has been brave or foolish enough to test it. Some legends even claim that Reinhard Heydrich once did, placing the Czech crown on his head, and he was dead within a year. And then there is a legend of the White Lady, a ghost said to appear before the Great Change in the Czech lands. People swear she has been in these halls before wars and revolutions. Whether you believe it or not, the castle still has that eerie sense that history here never really sleeps. Today, Prague Castle is the official residence of the President of Czech Republic and one of the most visited landmarks in the Central Europe. It covers almost 70,000 square meters, the Guinness World Record for the largest ancient castle complex. Every year, millions of visitors are walking through these courtyards, without realizing that they are walking through more than a millennium of human effort. So next time you walk through these gates, don't just look at the view, listen. You might hear thousands of years whispering back. I am Rasul and this is Bridge TV, bringing you stories about culture, history and the world we live in today. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.